Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Violet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic's podcast. I'm your host, Vialet Rayne, and today my guest is Tiffany Patterson. She's a mompreneur and certified Dcode Practitioner. She knows the importance of tapping into your inner magic and using it to heal yourself and your family. Tiffany's passion is working with other moms and their little ones in their healing journey. She loves helping them connect with their intuition, sacred priestess energy, and innate magic. When we work together, you reclaim your power and anything is possible. The first time I met Tiffany was her trip out to Colorado. She's in Missouri to take angelic Reiki. And then it was a whirlwind because before I knew it, she was in the mystery school taking sacred priesthood and warrior of light. So COVID hit, she got pregnant with twins. She's got babies all around her as a mom, and I haven't got to see her in several years. So she used to travel out here once a month, and I so miss once a month, and I miss that, Tiffany. Can you believe how long it's been?
It's been too long because I was traveling out to you guys because Sacred Priesthood was 13 months and then Warrior of Light was 6 or 7. So I was coming out and seeing you guys for almost 2 years straight, almost every month. And then all of a sudden it just got cut off. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do.
We got so used to having you here on the weekends. Just so you guys know, in my mystery school, when folks travel in for these classes, they typically stay with us and we pick them up at the airport. We feed them, we house them, we take them back to the airport. They become our family. And during that time, our center flooded. So we faced a flood at our center. And so we were doing some stuff online and then we were in temporary space. And then Tiffany came out to help us get ready for our grand opening and the first class of warriors. Such a journey, so many memories.
Yeah, Adam and I came out. We had Xavier and Rhea with us at the time. And Xavier was just a little tot running around with his little blanket in his mouth. But we were there helping put things together. And Adam was helping build shelves. And I mean, we were there just trying to show our support as best as possible and, you know, be there for you guys because we did. We really became family. And my family came out a couple of times. There's a few times that Ray even got to come out with us and sit in Sacred Priesthood with the class. And, you know, Jenny and I went together. And so I got really close with Jenny. And it was just my second family, my second home. And it was so strange and still is really strange not to be able to just jump and go and do, you know, it's kind of hard just to go every month with the 4 kids. And now we also have Stacy too. So she's 5 toddlers in herself.
So those that you don't know, Adam is Tiffany's husband and his sister lives with them, needs lots of help. Like she said, 5 toddlers. And then she has 4 young 2-year-olds and up now running around, and she does her business. And you have such a special lane in the work that you're doing with helping moms and children find their magic and their sacredness and their space. Talk to us a little bit about your journey of wanting to do this, because I've watched you grow and expand. So share your story with us.
Yeah. So Rhea, my firstborn, man, she's my 111 baby. She is super magical. She's naturally able to do all of this without it being attuned. There's several times that she'll check in energetically and it's like, go back home. You need to stay home. And she's always tapping into her magic and her abilities. And being able to witness her and support her in a way that I was never really held or supported in my own family growing up was a huge goal of mine. I think a big part of the reason why we struggle so much as humans is because we're taught at a very young age that magic isn't real and that we need to let go of all these false expectations that we have and get our heads out of the clouds. And I disagree. I think that's exactly what we need in this world is a little bit more magic and more creativity and more out of this world reality of dreaming. And so I want to support my kids in the best way that I can. And then we had Xavier, who was completely opposite. He was like, don't touch me, don't talk to me, don't do all the things. And I was shocked because I was like, whose kid is this? This isn't my kid. Have you met me? I'm the most social person ever. Have you met my daughter? Like, come on. And so it was a huge shift for me in trying to figure out Xavier and what works for him and what didn't. And then, all this time I'm going through this amazing journey in sacred priesthood and finding out who I am and my magic and how I can bring that into, St. Louis, because unlike Colorado at the time, St. Louis wasn't very woo. It didn't have a whole lot of stuff. People knew about Reiki, but they didn't really know about Reiki. And so going to Colorado and learning all these sacredness of priesthood and the warrior of light and the angelic Reiki, and then coming back to St. Louis and it's like, you do what? What's that? What are you talking about? What's that? And so like people used to think I was crazy and they labeled me as the witch of Eureka. And if you know me, I'm completely opposite. I started with angelic Reiki. I grew up in a church background and I never really got to that point of like, I don't know, I guess the voodoo kind of stuff, yeah, I did tarot, but it wasn't like anything crazy. But yet you would think I was the worst person in the world if you talked to any of the people in Eureka because I did stuff I wasn't supposed to. And so I had a lot of wounding there. And I had my own practice and it was a really tough decision to decide if I wanted to stay in that practice or not. And so I closed the doors of my practice and about 2 months later, COVID hit. And in this time, I was still doing Warrior of Light with you guys. And so the world kind of stopped and we didn't know what was going on for a while. And then about the time we started understanding what was going on, I found out I was pregnant with twins, which then threw my whole world in the loop again because we couldn't travel. And then on top of that, once we could start traveling, I was pregnant. And so things got really kind of difficult there. And it was such an honor to work with you and you worked with me in my situation. I was still able to finish Warrior of Light. And it was such an amazing class and such an amazing experience. I highly recommend it for any of the sisters or brothers that are continuing on past the sacred brother or sisterhood there at Discovery Spiritual Gifts. And being able to really hone into who I was and find that voice and find that magic that I had was such an amazing experience. I wanted to do the same with my kids. And so being a mom after having the twins and being in COVID, I got really secluded. And so I struggled with postpartum depression pretty bad. I didn't want to get out of bed. The C-section took me out. I had 2 babies I was trying to breastfeed and do all the things and I couldn't and I wasn't doing enough. And Lyra had colic, so she couldn't be put down. And by the time I could put her down, it was time to feed her again. And so I really got into my head. And instead of reaching out to people or being out in public, we were told that we couldn't. And so I got really isolated. And my husband, God love him, did the best that he could. But there's just something about going through postpartum depression that if you don't have that contact with people, if you don't have that space to be raw and say, you know what, I feel like a really pooey mom right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm doing everything wrong. I can't take care of my kids like I need to, and actually have that sacred space held to be able to release all of that false fears and projections that we are throwing at ourselves. It's really hard to get out of that loop. And so I went through all aspects of it. I had good pregnancies. I had bad pregnancies. I had normal pregnancies. I had COVID pregnancies, all the things. And so it's such a different journey that I wanted to share that support with moms and all the things that we're bringing forward.
Being a mother is one of the most rewarding things that we can do, but it's not always easy. And we can easily get lost in our own ancestral wounds and pains and fears of, what we were told that we were supposed to be versus what we can be. You have taught me so much as well as I've taught you. When you first came out doing the mystery school classes, my stand was always, we would never do this online. Never. We would never have these classes online. And Spirit has pushed me the last few years to say, oh yeah, you're going to have a hybrid. And you're going to teach online these classes, and then people are going to travel in a couple weekends through the program to get their practicum and their graduation. But you are going to take this program, all these programs online. So that's my next journey, is figuring out how to get priesthood, warriors, alchemy, tree of wisdom. They're all going online, and then people will travel in for the pieces so that more people have access. Just like Raya taught you, you taught me a lot. Raya was so sweet. She would come out, and when Tiffany would be studying her online stuff, Raya was always beside her, listening to her rituals, practicing her rituals. And you're talking about, how old was she? Like four at the time?
She was about... So the first time that we started going out there, I think Raya was about 2.5, almost 3. And then whenever I went through a sacred priesthood, she was either 3 or 4.
She was little. And every time Tiffany would open her computer to study, Raya was right there listening. Like she wanted to do it too. She would learn the rituals too. And she wanted to do the magic too. And she taught all of us because she was highly connected. And I have fairies throughout my center, and she'd come and talk about the fairies and tell us what the fairies were doing. I mean, she was just amazing in how she's connected. And I truly believe, because Tiffany has allowed her to continue that path and not shut her down, that she'll carry that for the rest of her life. She won't disconnect like many of us did in growing up, because nobody else seemed to know what we were talking about. We shut it off. She'll stay connected and have such a beautiful, magical life, and not have the fears that prevented us from stepping into who we are.
Oh, yeah. And the beauty about this is teaching our kids those foundational tools that we are so desperately seeking for ourselves now as adults. I think it's going to be so beneficial in their growth moving forward and creating their own lives, because they're not going to have all of those extra distortions or karmic loops or anything going on that we have, that we're trying to dismantle as adults. And, like you said, she's such a blessing. She's so magical. And I know, a lot of people talk about how magical their kids are, but this girl is almost 7. She's already got her own business. She's wanting to do so much of her own, of healing and sharing her magic with others. And she's such an inspiration. And she just mirrors back so much beautiful, lessons. And, she shows me the things that I need to work on myself so I can just continue to grow myself. And it's such a beautiful exchange, and she loves doing it. It's her favorite thing in the world. And she still talks about wanting to go back to Colorado. When do I get to go see Vialet in the mountains? She's like, I want to go back and play with my fairies.
Right? She just loved it here. And those of you that know my husband, Tom, right? She would sit on the couch as close as she could get to him. She would keep nudging his arm until he put his arm around her. And, she just melted his heart. So I remember she was taking a bath here at the house, and I have this little mermaid doll in my bathroom. And I said, Raya, you can take a bath with the mermaid doll. And her eyes lit up and her face lit up. And Tom looks at me and goes, you're going to give it to her, right? You're going to give her her mermaid doll, right? I'm like, yes, Tom, I will give her my mermaid doll.
She still has that doll to this day, and she actually passed it to her sister so that her sisters can play with it when they take their baths now. So we actually still have that mermaid doll.
Well, that doll, it was just funny because Tom looked at me and goes, you're going to give it to her, right? Yes, Tom, I'm going to give it to her. She does steal people's hearts. I just love her magic. Well, I've noticed you have this program called Warrior Mama program.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit on what that program is that you offer.
Yeah, so Warrior Mama is probably my biggest passion project. And this is where we dive into all things mom, all things parenting, all things woman. You don't have to be a mom to go through this program. I actually have this last course. I had two ladies go through who aren't parents yet, and they love it. And actually, one of the ladies is probably my biggest supporter. But it was a 12-week program. I brought it down to a 6-week program just because 12 weeks is kind of a lot for busy moms. But everything, it's a hybrid program as well. So we do a lot of the pre-recordings, and then every week I actually get in session as a group, and we do what I call either a deep dive or an open office. And this is where we can go into further depth of the information that was shared in the program, or you can ask me any questions that's coming up, or we can set up and just talk about some of the things that you're trying to go through. I also offer private sessions throughout this that's included in the program. But the big part about Warrior Mama is we can't help support our kids until we first support ourselves. And so it's shifting the paradigm of parenting by first starting with our own innate magic and really connecting to that and really working with our stuff, because as we work through our stuff, we actually break that chain moving forward to our kids. So it makes it easier on them to not have all of our baggage as they continue to figure out their own life and what they're going to do with it. And so we talk about things from, facing our biggest fears to really navigating emotions and what that looks like for ourselves and how we can teach that to our kids. And the program is built to really focus on our own healing, but I also have it broken out to where what we took in this lesson for this week, how can we apply that to our family situation? How can we teach our kids this in a way that they're going to understand so that this becomes so second nature to them that they don't even realize what they're doing? It just happens as if by magic, and they can process and move forward through life with ease and grace. And then it's up to them to make the decisions that they want to make and the life they want to make without having all of our crap in their field or in their way. And so we talk about things from health and nutrition and how we can incorporate that into our lives while being busy, and just all the things of, how to really believe in the magic that you have and the work that you do and how to apply that to every aspect of your life, including your marriage, including your work life, including everything going on, with your kids or with your business, whatever that is.
I love that. You also teach kids Reiki and sound healing.
I do.
I think that's so amazing. So share a little bit about that with us.
So Rhea actually was the one who really encouraged me to learn how to teach kids Reiki and self-healing. And as I've journeyed through all of these amazing advanced programs that I've gone through, including, Warrior of Light and Sacred Priesthood, and I went to Canada and I did a Decode program that was a 3-year program as well. I'm going to college for my naturopathy courses, and I wanted to take all the stuff that I had in a way that I could give this to a kid and then be able to properly understand how to process emotions, how to really heal from the inside, how to take your magic and use it towards growing plants and creating food, or using it to dance and, just move and have fun and be that light. And so I sat down with Rhea and I was like, okay, let's do this. And she's like, okay. And I interviewed her. I sat down and was like, hey, if we're going through the workbook, what's this feel like to you? What's this look like? How do you apply this? And so I literally have an interview with her going through the workbook, and I call it Reiki by a 6-year-old. And then I go through the main course and I teach parents the proper information, how to do this and how to apply it with their kids, just strictly teaching them Reiki and how that, they can really support them with that magic of healing and things like that. And then I also have it in a language to where if the older kids are listening to it, it's not like, oh, wow, this is really dumbed down. It's for all levels, all stages, all the things, and just really allowing those kids to understand that they have the power to heal if they want to. And I think that's the big piece of giving them the control of their life and their situations, where I feel like sometimes the world makes us feel like we don't have control of much at all.
You offer such unique programs for mom and mothers and children that I hope, if you're not doing it today, that you and Rhea find a way to reach people all over the United States. You know, before COVID came, we all said, oh, you can't do this online. We can't do this online. We can only do this in person. This is the only way this can be done. And Spirit's like, no, there are lots of ways to do this and to reach, because I don't think there's anybody out there that's focused on this lane to really help moms and kids, right, with all this. And I know my granddaughter, we had somebody come in and do a kids Reiki class, and she talked about it for years and wanted to do it again, but we never could. COVID hit. We never could get people in the center that did that. And so many kids want to do these things, and giving them an opportunity at such a young age to be able to step in and learn and be able to do this is so powerful.
It is. And these kids are looking for this kind of stuff. They really, really are. You've got all these amazing Disney movies that are coming out that our kids are so engrossed in, of all the magic and all the things. Like Encanto right now is like our favorite video right now. The twins come out and they're like, no, 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 no. And it's like, okay, I guess we're watching Bruno. You're welcome for all the moms I just got that stuck in your head for. But, one of the things that you taught us in Sacred Priesthood, which I held so near and dear to my heart, was the secret behind Disney movies and how much of it is actually true, and how much of it, obviously it's like a story, it's a movie, but all these things come from a belief. All these things come from inspiration. And so even looking at like the Marvel movies or the DC movies, like all of these things come from some kind of experience or connection to something or remembering. And if we look at these Disney movies as true possibility and showing the kids, look at Moana, her going across the sea and being able to save her land and all of the things, why can't we empower our kids to believe that they can do the same thing, instead of saying, oh, you have to have somebody come rescue you? No, you don't. You have the power to take and heal yourself, and you have the power to create the life that you want to live. You don't have to have somebody else to do that for you. And the ways that they're doing it are such a magical way. They're using plants, they're using herbs, they're using all of the elements, they're using all these things. And so when you look at it from a magical priestess side, you can see the true magic that's hidden inside these Disney movies. And so as a mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I take that and run with it? And so, we were in Sacred Priesthood and Frozen came out, Frozen 2, and the whole theme song was stepping into your power. You're the one that you're looking for. Stop looking for outside sources to give you the answers that you seek when all you have or need is right here. And that to me is like the big moment of like, I want to instill that in my kids. I want them to know they are completely capable of taking all of this amazing stuff and making it their own. And so, yeah, it's my life. It's everything I've been dealing with. And so I think one of the biggest lessons of becoming a healer and a practitioner is you connect with people through the life choices and the experiences that you're going through. So as a mom, this is my wish of what I wish I had when I was a child. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm just taking what I wanted and creating it in a way that's supportive for my kids. And I'm sharing my journey as I go through.
I love it. And I've watched your growth because, the first time I met you was in Angelic Reiki, and you brought the whole family. Your husband traveled out for you to be there for the weekend to take the class. It was beautiful meeting you guys and just getting to know you. And you were so hungry for more and more and more and more. And I remember you coming out from the second angelic Reiki class and taking it. And you're like, I really want to do priesthood. I have no idea how I can do this. And what Tom and I never realized till afterwards was she'd never been on a plane, had never gotten on a plane. And Tom sits with Adam and says, we'll take care of her. You put her on a plane. We'll pick her up at the airport. We'll feed her. We'll take care of her. We'll put her back on the plane. We promise we won't let anything happen to her. All she has to do is get here. And we had no idea that she'd never been on a plane ever in her life. Now, talk about bravery of getting on a plane all by yourself because you want this class so bad to find her way through Denver airport. I forget how many calls it took to Tom for him to find her in the Denver airport because she was lost and had no idea where to go. To go through all that, to do that, and then to get really comfortable with traveling. And now she's traveled and did other things as well. What blessings, what magic that holds. So talk to me about decodes. I have no idea what that is. So share with me a little bit what you're doing with the decodes as a practitioner.
So funny story. You talked about me getting lost in Denver airport. My husband actually called me. He goes, I've been watching you for 20 minutes. You're walking around in circles. You need to look for the tram. I'm like, why didn't you tell me sooner? And he goes, I can figure out how to get you out of there. And he's like, I wasn't going to call you until I knew how to do that. I'm like, so you just watched me run around the airport for 20 minutes? Because we have the Life 360 app. And so he was like watching me just walk circles around the airport. And I'm like, you little punk. But yeah, so the funny part about it was angelic Reiki. I think the side of it that I really enjoyed the most was reaching out to the different collectives. Like working with galactics and things like that. And growing up in a church, I always knew there was more. And I got a taste of that through the angelic Reiki. And it was like, oh, I feel like there's something bigger here. I feel like there's something more that I need to experience and to continue my healing journey. And so I actually started looking into different informations on trying to find that. And I didn't find a whole lot. It's really hard to find. Back in the day, this is several years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of information about more of like the outworldly collectives and things. And I ran across Caitlin Diana, which is we did women's circles, because that's one of the things I really wanted to get into. And she actually had this program called the Healers Rising Academy. And I joined it. And as soon as I joined it, it wasn't even a month later, she did a Starseed Accelerator. I'm like, this is my jam. This is why I'm here. This is what I've been looking for. And long story short, I actually worked with her for several years off and on. I became one of her moderators. So I helped run the program in the community. So I got really good about being able to hold like space and things like that. And I started her Decodes program, and it's called the Disruptor Codes. And the best way that I can describe it is you have to upgrade your computer. You get special coding that comes in, it cleans out your computer, it upgrades it, and it makes it perform at a more amplified version of what it was before. And that's what the Disruptor Codes is. And so we take anatomy and physiology, and we take naturopathy, and we take energy healing, and she put it in this beautiful container that really just takes healing outside of what normal energy work is. So we actually went through a really detailed program, an in-depth program, because this was, I went through this journey. It took me about 2.5 years. So it was like almost as soon as I quit doing Warrior of Light, I stepped straight into doing the Decodes program. And because of COVID and being pregnant, I actually stepped out of doing Decodes 2 for a little bit because it was really hard for me to manage my own energy plus the two little energies in my body while I was trying to do this big, massive, in-depth program. And so as soon as I got done having the twins, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next level. Let's go. And she goes, we don't have enough sign-ups, so you can take one again, and then we'll get you into 2. And I'm like, okay, fine. So it took a little bit longer than planned, but I had over like 600 hours of training. And then we did a full week up in Canada. I traveled internationally for the first time ever, went to Canada and did a intense 7-day workshop, hands-on, of supporting the body, how to support your client, running the cold lines, really working with acupuncture and all the different points within our bodies and the meridians and all of the things. And we worked with sound healing and using tuning forks and how that works, and all of these like craniosacral, all these things of, okay, here's the anatomy part. Here's what you learned about the skull. Now, as a practitioner with your hands on a body, what are you noticing? Map out the brain, map out the bones, show me how this is. And so it was a complete immersion of really understanding the human body physically and energetically. And so now it's not just, okay, how are you feeling today? It's like, how's your digestion? How's your input output? How's your stress levels? How's your mental, and so we do look at the entire spectrum of healing, which is the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and everything in between. And so, if it wasn't for Angelic Reiki and having that niche of wanting to jump into this program and learn more about the galactics, I never would have been able to jump into the program of really understanding the body and how that works physically and energetically, which has been huge. And it's taken my healing to a whole different level.
I love that. I love that. Well, share with us, how can people reach out, work with you? What are some of the things that you offer that they can tap into?
Yeah, so I work both online and in person here, and I'm located in Eureka, right south of St. Louis, Missouri. You can reach out my website. I do online circles. I do in-person circles. I do healing sessions for adults, kids, babies, people trying to get pregnant. I work with people who are sick or in the hospital, who are kind of on the hospice side of things. And you can reach out to me. I'm on social media, all the things. I do in my private group, I do readings online, like tarot readings and stuff like that for fun. I share with you guys some meditations and things like that I really enjoy and that I create for my programs. I'm also podcast, YouTube, all of the things. So it's really easy to find me. It's just Sacred Lotus in the Healing Hut. Sacred Lotus TMP.com is my website, and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the things.
She's on all the platforms.
All the things.
all the things, mom and children. So if you're a new mom, if you're thinking about being a parent someday, if you're trying to figure out parenting, check out all of her things, because she has lots of content that she shares and lots of programs that they do. And Rhea every once in a while gets on the video and talks too. So it's beautiful to see them work together. So you'll get to meet Rhea online. Rhea also makes magical candles and all kinds of stuff. They're getting ready for the holidays. So I've been seeing them make candles and doing all kinds of magical things. Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope we get together soon. I know we'll figure out a way that we're going to see each other again. This isn't going to slow us down. Someday we're going to reconnect, because Ray is not going to let you forget us.
No. We've already been trying to figure it out. We got to figure out Stacy in order for it to happen. But we have been talking about coming out to Colorado. We just don't know exactly what that looks like quite yet. And with her being in school now too, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I bet it does. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll check out our other shows, and we look forward to seeing you really soon. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Are you looking for an opportunity to fill your energy tank? When was the last time you invested in self-care? Vialet leads a weekend retreat every year in Woodland Park, Colorado. The purpose of the retreat is to reflect, restore, re-energize, and restore one's energy, focus, and direction. Violet's retreats provide the opportunities to connect, learn, and explore your healing and spirituality. What are you waiting for? You can find out more about this annual retreat at www.discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.